Well, Richard Buckland is the Board Director of the Australian Computer Society. He also heads cyber security education at the University of New South Wales. He joins us now. Richard, good to see you.
Hi, Andrew.
Let's first look at how this may have happened and the type of attack that it is. So it is been referred to as a denial of service attack. Just tell us what that is.
A denial of service attack is when people stop you doing what you would normally do, so that's the denial part. So it might happen when you're a parent if your kids keep constantly asking you questions while you're trying to do a busy task like filling your tax return or census form. And typically they happen because a web server has to accept requests from anyone in the world. It doesn't know who it's talking to, so a malicious person can send many requests to the web server, overwhelming it so it can't respond to legitimate requests.
So given what we know, as you understand it, what would have happened last night then? A malicious attack from foreign source.
Yes.
Were they simply attempting to bring the website down, or was there something more malicious to it?
So first of all, I should say I don't know. All the data is still coming out now. Most likely it was, I'm guessing, a form of hacktivism, just someone trying to bring the site down and discredit the ABS.
All right, so there's obviously concerns this morning that people who did manage to fill in their forms and submit their details, their information and the security may well be compromised. Do we know if that's the case or not?
We don't know, but I'd be surprised if that was the case. I think my guess would be the point of the attack was to raise awareness and to discredit the ABS. If you wanted the data, a better time to get it would be after the census was completed.
Now, do you feel as though the ABS has enough cyber security in place to prevent people's information being hacked?
So two parts to that. I don't know, because the ABS has been very secretive about how it's doing it, but it would be very unlikely if that was the case. There's almost no way of preventing data being hacked. Banks, the US, even the NSA has been hacked. There's no way someone like the ABS could rule out a hack. In fact, people have been worried about that for quite a long time. This pool of sensitive data is a very attractive target to the three sorts of attackers we normally have. It's attractive to hacktivists, and we saw that last night. It's attractive to nation states, and it's attractive to cyber criminals because it's worth money.
Attractive, okay, worth money, but attractive in what way? How would they use that information?
So cyber criminals could use that for identity theft. For taking people's monies, for lodging false claims on behalf of people, for scamming data. The identity theft is a huge loss to Australia and a huge cybercrime, rapidly growing cybercrime at the moment. So the ABS data is more or less designed. If a hacker could say, here's what I'd like to know about someone, well, the ABS is requiring us by law to tell them exactly that.
As you say, the full details of exactly what happened last night is still not clear, but in your view and the protocols that the ABS should follow, did they do the right thing? If they were concerned that they were being hacked, they'd pull the website down immediately?
Yeah, I think that was a good thing to do. If you don't know what's going on, then and they have a window in which the census can be run. It's not a catastrophe. If this happened during an online election, for example, it would be a catastrophe. But yeah, no, I think that was a good thing to do.
We should just clarify then, you've actually said that the census itself was not hacked.
Yes.
The website was hacked. There's a point of difference there.
Yeah, so again, I'm not across the details. I'm just reporting what I've read in the papers. It doesn't look like people got into the system. It looks like people disabled the system.
Yeah. Does this raise wider questions about cybersecurity in Australia? Yeah. And how it's set up, and perhaps that not enough safeguards are in place? Yeah,
for me, that's the worrying thing about it. It's no shame to anyone to be denial of service. Anyone can be denial of service. That happens all the time, and there's nothing you can do about it. But the alarming questions that are, in my mind, out of this incident are, it should have been anticipated. It was quite predictable that it would happen in one form or another, and it's something that they, I'm surprised that they weren't able to deal with it. So it casts questions in my mind about the level of thought and care and planning that went into the security of this piece of critical national infrastructure. And there are many, and ACS supports this, who are saying that we need at the Australian Computer Society, we really need to have a better discussion about this. There needs to be more debate and openness. It shouldn't be a private thing. This is something that affects the whole nation.
Well, and particularly at a time when more and more of our private details are going online, and particularly also with government websites such as MyGov, where they're encouraging you to use online sites.
Absolutely, that's right, that's right. It's convenient, it's good for the nation in so many ways to have this sort of electronic data on people, but the more data that we collect and the more it's pulled and the more it's linked, which is what is intended to happen with this census data, then the more attractive that data is to attackers. And we just know in the past, attackers go for this data. The US lost millions of records with the Office of Personnel Management hack of senior federal employees. Data breaches occur around the world all the time. Ashley Madison, for example, as soon as there's an attractive pool of data, then hackers want it. There is no more attractive pool of data in Australia than this data.
In the wake of the recent federal election, many people said, well, why can't we do this online? We would have had a result much quicker. Does this point to the issue that they have, that they simply they're not in a position to set this up at this point?
I think that's a really good question, Andrew. So first of all, electronic voting is different to a census. With electronic voting, the attack would be perverting the data as it goes in. With a census, what you want to do is not change the data, but get access to the data. So in a way, voting is even more critical than a census. And we've seen today that, like there have been many claims over the past couple of weeks as media attention's been focused on this, that everything's okay, no one needs to worry, and the ABS has it all in hand. It's easy to say things like that, but we've now seen that actually the reality can be very different. So with electronic voting, around the world, again, people are experimenting with electronic voting. Always there are claims that it's safe and don't worry, but always there are problems.
And would you be able to hazard a guess as to what the ABS are doing right now with trying to get this back up and ensure that all safety and security measures are in place? How would they go about that? Do they have to start from the bottom up and look at their whole site?
So there'd be a couple of different things. One is, I imagine IBM, who they're working with, and their cloud provider are looking at how to mitigate against future denial of service, because presumably when it goes up again, it'll be denial of service detected again. And that's just a matter of resources. So someone's presumably setting that up. They should also be investigating what happened and where it came from. It's very hard, though, to pin down where it came from. The attack probably came from overseas, but it may well have been initiated by an agent in Australia. There's no way of knowing that. But the bigger question that you're raising is what should they be doing about the preserving the protecting the data, the privacy of the data that they're going to collect. I'm not sure. I imagine their eyes at the moment are all on just dealing with this very embarrassing thing that's happening.
Well, I mean, because the point is, obviously, many people still have to fill it out. How do they ensure that their website the integrity of their website will be maintained?
Well, this is a commercial problem, and it's been faced by many people around the world. So they will, again, as you mentioned before, it's really the collection mechanism that was under attack rather than the data at the other end, as far as we know. And actually, that as far as we know is important as far as we know. Often, to cover an attack on real data, people will perform a denial of service at the same time to distract attention. But it would be odd to do that now because not all the data's in. But I guess if someone just wanted to plant a backdoor, this would be a nice way of doing that. So I assume they've got a lot of people now looking over their logs, but of course the logs would have been swamped by the attack, trying to check that no one could get in.
Professor Richard Buckland from the Australian Computer Society, thanks very much.
Thanks very much.